Hi, my name's Iqra. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I'm going to do a very quick intro, so for anyone who's not interested in this intro, please feel free to skip. The timestamps are at the bottom, as they always are. The video today is actually my October monthly wrap up for like your reading, your books. It's one I've never done on my YouTube before, but yeah, for anyone who's interested in finding out like what books I read in the month and what I thought of them, obviously just skip that part. But for anyone who's been a long-standing subscriber or viewer of my channel, you might want to hear this intro, maybe, I don't know. It's been like 4 years, 3 or 4 years since I posted on this channel. So hi, welcome back. I just miss doing long form content. I'll keep it really brief. I have been making content over on TikTok for a little while now, for about 1.5 to 2 years now, I think, which is obviously short form content. But some of my videos, I feel like they're a bit too long for TikTok. Like I spend 10+ minutes talking, and I just don't think that's the platform for those kind of conversations or the lengthier kind of videos. So I decided to come back to YouTube. So hopefully you guys welcome me back with open arms, I hope. I didn't abandon long form altogether. Like, I still watch YouTube all the time, and I still make somewhat of long form content. It's just I was making it on TikTok, so there were like 10-minute videos on TikTok, which, like I said, that doesn't work for short form platforms. Usually under 5-minute videos work best on those platforms. But for anyone who's come from there, obviously, because I might invite people over from there, hi, this is my channel that I create YouTube videos on, and now you can see my backlog on here hopefully too. I don't know which videos I will have decided to private when this video is live, but you may be able to see some of my older videos on here, which might pique your interest. I'm very much going to be creating similar videos that I used to make on here. I'm going to be making, you know, the lifestyle videos, and I'm going to be doing a lot of the stuff that I do on TikTok, just longer really. So lifestyle videos, vlogs, book videos, makeup, skincare, the lot. Well, not so much makeup, but definitely skincare. So all of that sort of stuff is what I'll be making. However, as per usual, just like the old days, if you have any suggestions of stuff you want to see me make or talk about, please let me know in the comments down below. So welcome to my October kind of monthly wrap-ups of my books, of my reading. If you were not aware, I'm a massive reader. I always have been. My bookshelf is right behind me. I've never really filmed in this location before, but I thought it was cool. But I've read for my whole life. Like, my mum used to read to me when I was little, so I've read since like as young as I could have read, if that makes sense. I read primarily romance. That is what I read most of the time, if I'm honest, but I do branch out here and there and stuff like that, and I'm part of a book club, so that's helping me branch out quite a bit, to be honest. So yeah, I've had a really good reading month, to be honest. I read quite a lot most months. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, and that allows me to get through books a lot more faster, because with the work that I do, in terms of my work from home job, like my 9-to-5 job as such, it's a lot of admin based work, so it's kind of nice to listen to like an audiobook while I'm working. So this month I read 10 books, which is crazy. So October I read 10 books, so 8 of those were audiobooks. So like I said, I read a lot of audiobooks, 1 ebook and then 1 physical book as well, which I will show to you guys. There also was 1 DNF. So for those who don't know what a DNF is, it's a do not finish. So it's a book that I didn't finish. I started it and very much was just like, no, I don't want to continue reading this, and that was an audiobook as well. That was a DNF book. I'll talk about that very briefly right at the end, just in case anyone has got that on that TBR and want to get my opinions on it and thoughts on it potentially. We will do that. Do my glasses look weird on camera? I feel like they look a little weird. Should I take them off? I don't always need my glasses, but when I'm looking at my screens too long, my eyes start hurting, so we'll go without the glasses, I think, for now. So the first book was called The Dictionary Club by Sophie Gravia, and this was, like I said, an audiobook. So I gave this book a 4 stars. So this book was a really interesting one. It was about 3 friends, so they like live in Glasgow, which is cool because UK. So Brit literature is always quite fun to read and stuff. So they live in the Glasgow. They work in marketing, and they're like kind of, I guess, like late 20s, 30s kind of thing, maybe even in the 30s, to be honest. And they are fed up with the selection of men out there. They have all experienced really bad dates and things like that in the past, and they're just not for it anymore. So they wanted to create a website which helps women across Glasgow kind of recognize like who's a red flag or not and stuff. And essentially women will go on dates and they'll upload like a date review as such of like the important things, like manners and things like that, but also the maybe not so important things, but maybe important things for other people, like how he was in bed and things like that. So they do this website and stuff, and it's really interesting, and it was a lot of like humorous moments, but a lot of like sad moments too, because basically drama ensues. Like they then create this, and then like all this drama unfolds and everything. I really enjoyed this book. It was really fun to listen. It was very like flirty, funny, had some more serious and emotional moments. The smut was nice. There's a little bit, not like a lot, but there is a little bit. There's some nice little storylines between all three girls. I don't remember all the characters. I don't remember any of the characters' names now because this was like one of the first books I read at the beginning of the month. Okay, so book number 2 is my one and only physical book of the month. So this is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So this was chosen for the book club that I am part of. So there's about 6 of us girls. We met randomly through like a girls group. Some major cities have been doing like these girls groups where like people come together, like girls who like don't really have friends, like older girls, like maybe, you know, 20s and 30s, and you know, want to make friends with like like-minded people and things. And we met through a book club that one of these girl groups had, and then we just decided to like branch off into our own mini book club. So we meet every single month now, and we always like have a dinner, and then we like chat about the book of the month. We chat about just life in general. Like, I'm getting really close with the girls. I really like enjoy spending time with them. It's a lot of fun. It's like something I look forward to every month as well, because I don't go out a lot. I'm very introverted. Like, that hasn't changed about me for those who are from the old days on the channel. It's really fun, and we basically all pick a book. Everyone picks a book. Sometimes there's themed months, sometimes there isn't. It depends. We put it in a spin the wheel, and the spin the wheel is the one that wins. So this is the one that won for September, so technically this was September's book. However, it took me a little bit longer to read, just because I couldn't get into it as quickly. So it took me a little bit longer to read, so I didn't finish it till October. So this book is interesting. It's a sci-fi book. It's not something I would have read. It's just kind of like sci-fi comedy. It's not something I would have picked on my own accord, if I'm honest. And I'd heard of this because a lot of like popular books and movies mention it. There was another book that we all read one of the months, You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. We all read this for one of our book club reads as well a couple of months ago, and this book mentions this book. So now we're all like, wow, now we've read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So it's, yeah, a fantasy kind of sci-fi book. I was confused throughout. Like, that's definitely one way to put it. I was definitely confused, but it was still enjoyable. I had fun. So essentially, like, just the kind of vague kind of plot here, it's kind of hard to explain, if I'm honest. But essentially we have a character called Arthur Dent, and Earth is destroyed, and then Arthur Dent travels the galaxy with his best friend, Ford Prefect. And Ford Prefect is an alien species of some kind, but who's been stuck on Earth for, I think it was like 20, 30 years or something. I can't remember exactly the time frame it was, but he was stuck on Earth. And then when Earth was destroyed, he escaped Earth with Arthur, so he saved Arthur, and then they traveled the galaxy together. And they used what was called the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, there was literally a guidebook called this, and they used that to guide them throughout their journey in the galaxy, basically, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, it was very different for me, not something I normally would read, but that's the whole point of a book club. It's to open you up to different things you normally wouldn't read. And while it was very confusing, I still very much enjoyed it, so I gave this one a 4 stars. So book number 3 was a book called The Pucking Wrong Number by C.R. Jane. And this one, the best way I can describe it, it was kind of like a dark hockey romance. That's the best way to describe it. Now, I did not thoroughly enjoy this book as much as I thought I was going to. Now, it'd been on my TBR for a little while. Like, it'd been on my ebook TBR for a bit, and then eventually I changed it to an audio TBR because I found it on an audiobook app that I use. Looking forward to listening to it. So hockey romance books are some of our favorite romance books to listen to and read and all of that. It just wasn't that good, so I gave it a 3 stars. The only saving grace really here is that the narrator is Troy Duran, and Troy Duran is a brilliant narrator, and he's narrated so many of my favorite like dark romance books and things like that. So I probably should have known the themes that were gonna happen in this book, but the themes were like way more unhinged than usual. Like, I enjoy dark romance as much as the next gal, I really do. I read dark romance from time to time, but the main character, I don't remember what the girl's character name was, like what her name was in this book, but the guy, his name was Lincoln, and in the last third of the book he became completely unhinged to a point that I was really uncomfortable with, if that makes sense. I still finished the book because I was bored, and it was a fun thing to listen to during my work day while I was bored, if that makes sense. But he was very that's the best way I can describe him. He was very unhinged. Some of the stuff he did was just a little bit too far for me. Even though I enjoy dark romance and the themes that dark romance often has, some of the stuff he was doing was just a little bit too much, even for me, basically, is where I stand. Yes, so it was a 3-star rating. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it either. There's definitely much better hockey books out there, and much better dark romances just in general, like much better written ones. So yeah, it wasn't good. It just wasn't good at all. Okay, book number 4 is Heartbreaker by Anika Hussain. Now, I really enjoyed this book. It was very cute. It was a YA romance, very much enemies to lovers. I think they were sort of like 17, 18. I don't read YA all the time anymore. I just feel like I'm a little bit too old to read YA now. As someone who's going to be turning 29 in like 2 months, I feel like I'm a little bit old for that demographic. However, I still very much enjoyed this book. It was very cute. So premise here really is that we have a character called Sachi, and we have the main male character called Fahim. I think they're Bangladeshi from my understanding, from what I remember. So they're South Asian. Both main leads are South Asian, which doesn't happen very often. Often we get like a female lead who might be South Asian, and then we have like a male character who might be like white or something else, usually like any other ethnicity. And it's really nice that both of the characters were South Asian, which is something I really enjoy. So yeah, so that was first and foremost. So we have Fahim and we have Sachi, and Sachi like basically is a die-hard kind of like friend. Like she's the kind of person who will support you through everything and anything. Now one of her best friends, Mona, had a bit of a thing going with Fahim, but he kind of led her on and he really broke her heart. And Sachi was not gonna have that. She was like, nah, not happening. So she made a plan to become the heartbreaker, if that makes sense. So she was gonna get to know him, get him to fall in love with her, and then in turn break his heart. However, that probably didn't happen, as we can imagine. That is not what happened. They ended up falling for each other instead. So the whole book was really lovely. Like I said, I rated it 4 stars. It wasn't like blow you away crazy, but it was really lovely. There was some really sweet moments between Fahim and Sachi, and I just really enjoyed the way her character was formidable, in the sense that like she would just fight for her friends over anything. Like it just reminded me of that age range when you're like in that like 16 to 18 age range, where like you do anything for the best friends in your life. You would fight them like tooth and nail to like make sure that they're okay, and like, you know, that they're happy and stuff. And it was very reminiscent of that age and that era. I remember how I used to be with my friends at that age. Like I would do anything for my friends. And it was really hopeful and inspiring the way she was with her friends and stuff, and just who she was as a character. She really grew over the books, which was quite interesting. It was really nice to see like that growth. That is one thing I do enjoy about YA books. I like seeing like the character growth with YA books and how they develop a bit more like into young adults as such. And it's always enjoyable. The only like one downside, which is why I did rate it a little bit lower than 5, is that there was a whole like storyline with her and her mom, which I won't go into detail, but they had like not a great relationship, I want to say, and it kind of wrapped up really quickly. Like she came to acceptance quite quickly, and it kind of wrapped up quite quickly, and just felt a bit unusual for the character that they'd built up of Versace. Like she just didn't seem like the character who would get over that sort of thing that quickly. So that bit was a bit weird. Like it wrapped up quite quick, but it was still a very enjoyable read, and I would totally recommend it, especially if you're looking for some South Asian rap, particularly like Bangladeshi rap. It was really good. Honestly, when they were talking about all the Bangladeshi food and stuff that they were describing in the book, I was getting so hungry. Like I've not tried Bangladeshi food. I'm Pakistani myself, so I've only primarily ate Pakistani food, and obviously in the UK Indian restaurants were quite popular, so I've eaten Indian food quite a lot, and a lot of the foods cross over like in terms of the cultures. But Bangladeshi food is a little bit different from Pakistani food and Indian food, and I've not really tried anything like that before. I've not really gone to like friends' houses or Bangladeshi and eaten food at their house and things like that. So I was getting like really like mouth-watering kind of feelings while reading the book and listening to like what they were like eating and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a really great read, particularly like I said if you're looking for some South Asian rap. Book number 5 was called The Proposal Project by Donna Marchetti. I'd read another book by her a few months ago called Hate Mail, but I hadn't realised she's the same author when I read this book. But I really enjoyed that book too, so I'm not surprised I enjoyed this book. I gave this one a 4 stars. So this one's a really cool one. So it kind of has the name suggests, there's a proposal that's going to be happening. So the main character is called Priscilla. Now Priscilla is really good friends with her friend Tina, and Tina has hired as such Priscilla to plan her surprise proposal for her long-term boyfriend called Ryan. She really wants like Priscilla to get like her event planning business like up and running, because she works as an events planner for someone else, and Tina really wants to help her best friend like get up and running for her own business. So she's like, why don't you like plan my proposal for Ryan, because I want to do this big, you know, really out there proposal, because Ryan and Tina like really like loud characters. They're like quite eccentric characters. However, there is a twist. Ryan has actually enlisted his best friend Oliver to help him do the same for Tina. So he wants to do this big elaborate surprise proposal for Tina, and they've made it very clear that no one else can know. So Ryan said to Oliver, like, Priscilla cannot know, and vice versa. Like, Tina said to Priscilla, like, Oliver can't know. Oliver and Priscilla, like, don't really like each other very much. They kind of do, but not really. They kind of know each other. They've kind of had like a little bit of a fling going on, but it never really amounted to anything. So when each other find out, Oliver and Priscilla find out that they've both been assigned to do these things, they decide to come together to create one massive surprise proposal for both Tina and Ryan. And obviously through this process we get to find out a bit more about their love story too, which was quite fun. So this one was a really nice, fun, easy read. Like, that's kind of how I would describe it. Really fun, easy read. It was the protagonists were really fun. Like, I really loved Priscilla and Oliver as like characters, but I also loved the side characters a lot. I liked Ryan and Tina a lot in this book. Like, they were absolutely adorable. Like, I loved their little relationship with each other. I liked how they were with like all four of them together. Like, I really liked all of it. And the whole proposal was amazing. Like, that whole build up, the whole book of them planning the proposal to like the proposal at the end of the book, it was like chef's kiss. It was such a nice proposal. It was like, it's not something I personally would do. Like, if I was to ever have a proposal like that, it's not something I would do. It was very out there, very public, very eccentric and stuff like that. It's got a bit of like fake dating involved in here. So if you like the fake dating kind of trope in romance, you probably would enjoy this as well. So book number 6 is Flawless, and this is part of the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. So this had been not on my TBR as such, but my sister had mentioned it and how she enjoyed this series, and she's like, I think you'd like this series. It's kind of like a cowboy, country, small town series. So Flawless is the first book in the series, and I rated it 5 stars. This was a really, really enjoyable book, and it's so much so that I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series at some point. I haven't decided when I'm going to start it, the rest of the series, but I probably need to soon, because otherwise I'll forget everything that happened in the first book. So like I said, this is very much a small town romance. So we have Rhett. So Rhett is the main character, the MMC, sorry, and he is a bull rider, which is really cool. I like that concept of bull riders now. Like, it's a very intriguing profession to me now. Anyone who's watched My Life with the Walter Boys might know what that is. So in season 2 of My Life with the Walter Boys, Alex is a bull rider, so it's very similar to that. That's exactly what Rhett does. He does it like on a professional level, like very much championship level kind of thing, and he's won quite a few championships. And then we have Summer, and Summer's, I think she's a lawyer. I can't remember exactly what her role was, but she's some kind of lawyer or something like that at her dad's like talent agency, and she's been assigned to help Rhett kind of like almost babysit him, and she's gonna help clean up his image a little bit because he had a bit of a scandal which wasn't great for the talent agency. So she's there really just to help him brush up his image, make sure he doesn't do anything silly in front of the public again. So very fun book, very fun read. It's very predictable, and like the way they communicate, I really dislike the way they communicate with each other throughout most of the book. It's a gripe. However, even that aside, I still thoroughly enjoyed the book. So it's very much like low stakes, very predictable storyline and outcome, but sometimes I really enjoy those kind of books, and a lot of romances have that similar kind of theme running throughout them, where they're like really low stakes, very similar, like predictable plots and stuff. I don't think that's a bad thing. I really don't. It's still very enjoyable, and I now really enjoy cowboy romances, so that's a new thing to add to my list of romances that I like. Yeah, I can't wait to read the rest, like the rest of the Eaton boys. So there's a couple of brothers basically, and then there's like not really a brother, but they've kind of like taken him like under their wing, called Theo Silver, and I'm really excited for his book because he looks like a fun character. So for anyone who's read this series, let me know what you think about this series, because I know it's quite popular right now and it has been for quite a few months, or maybe even a little bit longer than a few months, but I'm thoroughly excited to read it. I think I need to probably start it pretty soon, to be honest, because I will forget what happened in the first book. Book number 7 is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. So if you've read, you might have read something else by Beth O'Leary. It's called The Flat Share. Now I didn't really enjoy The Flat Share. Like, I've actually got it on my bookshelves, but I never actually enjoyed it. It was a DNR. I forgot what it was called, a DNR for me. Like, I read like halfway through and I got really bored of it. That being said, spoiler alert, I'm actually listening to the audiobook this month and I'm enjoying it a lot more than I did when I read the physical book a couple of years ago, so maybe my opinion's changed. So this is a really interesting book. It was 4 stars for me, this one. 4 stars. So this is about Eileen, who's, I don't know how old she was. I think she was like 70s, 80s. She's a bit older, she's a grandma basically, and her granddaughter called Lena. So Lena's this like high-flying, like corporate girly kind of thing, but she's been told by her boss she needs to go on a 2-month sabbatical because she's not doing good. She's not taking care of herself really, so she's been told she needs to go on a sabbatical. Now Eileen's getting a bit bored of her life in the countryside, like the English countryside where she's, I can't remember what the town was called, I don't know if it was a made up town or like a real one, but they live in sort of like the English countryside, whereas Lena, the granddaughter, lives in London, in the hustle and bustle of London. So they switch places, as the name suggests, the switch. So Lena pops, you know, over to the little hometown. So it's her hometown, it's where she grew up and stuff like that, and her mom's there and her grandma's there obviously, and she's moved over there to live her grandma's life, and that includes her devices too. So she wasn't allowed her phone, she wasn't allowed like her laptop and stuff like that. They literally swapped phones and stuff too. And then obviously Eileen heads over to London and lives the nice hustle and bustling life that Lena was living. And it's really cute. It's a really cute book. I really did enjoy it. I loved Eileen. She's an absolute queen. She was very nosy, but like nosy in a way that old ladies, like really nice kind old ladies can be, like in a very lovely way. Like that's kind of how like I would describe her. She was really good, and I really enjoy like a small town read. I read a lot of like small town romances obviously, but this is different obviously. There is some romance elements to this book, because Eileen's looking for a man, essentially. So her partner left her, I think, a year or 2 ago, or something like that. I can't remember the timeline here. But she's looking for a man, of course. But she's looking for a nice man. A man that, you know, she can spend the rest of her life with now. Because the man she was with initially, who is her, you know, the father of her daughter and like her granddaughter and stuff like that and everything, he wasn't great. So yeah, so there obviously is some romance elements there too, but it is very much like just like community building, family, loss. There is some loss in here, so if you have gone through any grief or like you've lost like a sibling, it could be quite, or even like a young child or something like that as well, it might be quite triggering, so just be mindful of that, of course, because it is a big theme, loss and grief. And it was just a lot of warmth to it, I think too. That's the biggest way I like to describe these kind of books. I felt warm and cozy and fuzzy on the inside. I wrote down in my review that it felt like a warm hug, and that's exactly how it felt. This book felt like a warm hug. It felt like you were getting a warm hug from your grandma. That's how it felt. So I really enjoyed this book. It was really fun. I don't know why I gave it 4 stars versus 5 stars, if I'm completely honest. I don't have like any rhyme or reason to my rating scales. Like most books I rate will be 4 or 5 stars. If you get 3 or below from me, you're probably not like a good book. Most books, if you're enjoyable, if I have fun, if I'm entertained, you're going to be a 4 or 5 stars. But that one is a 4 stars based on when I rated it. It might be, I might increase that, but I think we'll stick to 4 stars for now. 4 stars for now. Book number 8. Is that 8? I can't count. 6, 7, 8. 8. Book number 8 is The Spellshop, and it's part of the Spellshop series. There's like a whole series with it. I think there's about 3 books if I'm correct. And the author is Beth Durst. So this one is, I'd kind of call it like a cozy magical read. So I don't read a lot of fantasy. Not that I don't enjoy it, I do, but sometimes I struggle with like a lot of the high fantasy stuff, like the really big world building and all of this sort of stuff, and you know, big magical systems and things. However, I do like some books that have magical elements. So magical realism is a really good one, or things like this where like there's like a magic system in place. We don't need to know all about it. We kind of understand it a little bit. They will explain a little bit, but it's like cozy, cute magic basically. So this is very much cozy read, and that's why I started reading it, because I saw it online as like a cozy read. So I was just like, I really wanted something like, once again, low stakes, just a cozy read that had that little touch of magic, just because it is the season. It obviously was October and Halloween and all that sort of stuff, so I was like, let's read something that's a bit magical but still generally low stakes and cozy. So the main character of this book is called Keela, and she's Keela, I don't know how to pronounce it, but she's a librarian, and she lives with her sentient spider plant. So she has a sentient spider plant. The spider plant had magic done to it, which made it come alive to some degree. Don't know how it spoke, don't know how it could see things, smell things, or eat things, because it didn't have a mouth, it didn't have eyes or ears, but it was sentient. and it had a name. His name was Kaz. It was a very cool character. I loved Kaz. It was so adorable. He was very like anxiety ridden though. It's a very anxiety ridden character, but in the cutest way possible. And they live together and they look after the spell books in this big library in the Empire, in like this big city that they live in. However, there was a big revolution that was happening and the library got burnt down, which was insane because like that's crazy to me, like a library getting burnt down. But there was like a revolution and like it all broke out and stuff, and like people were throwing like the, I don't know what they would call like the king. I don't know if it was the king in this world, like whoever the one who rules the empire. They like kicked them off the throne and all that sort of stuff, killed them, tried to kill all their family, you know, all that sort of stuff. So Keela and Kaz had to escape. So they tried to save as many spell books as they could and like got onto a boat and they tried to get away as far as possible, and they ended up going to a faraway island, which is an island that actually Kayla grew up on. She was born and grew up on that island with her parents. This island and the citizens there have been neglected by the empire, so most of the islands and the neighboring cities and stuff have people come in and the spellcasters come in and they help, like, you know, take care of the land, take care of the weather, take care of like the livestock and stuff. But this island has been neglected to the point where like they don't have good crop, they don't have good livestock, they have a lot of like bad thunderstorms, or what they call spell storms, and it causes a lot of damage. And like the mer people, there's mer people in this, which is really cool. The mer people are always at risk of like dying when they try and give birth to the next generation of mer people. So she kind of comes in with like, oh, let's help fix this and stuff, and she shouldn't be doing magic, because that's the big thing about this book, that magic shouldn't be done by civilians, which is exactly what Kayla is. She's not a magic folk per se, she's just a normal ordinary person, and she shouldn't be doing magic, and actually the punishment for it is death. So it all unfolds. Then the island people are absolutely lovely. There's so many different creatures and stuff and like people on this island. There is a romance story. Like it's advertised as romantasy, but like the romance elements are so small, like there's so much more going on, but it was still really enjoyable, like side story, like the romance story that she has with a guy on the island, and it's a guy she actually grew up with that she doesn't really remember that well, but he remembers her very, very well. So it's kind of cute and stuff, and there is that romance element, but so much unfolds. Like they all gather it's very much like a found family kind of vibes. Like she finds her new people, I guess, the people who are her people, and it's very enjoyable. All the characters, all the different creatures, Kaz, the sentient spider plant, there's even Meep, the sentient cactus, which will come at some point in the book too. If you want to read this book, it's really cool when the Meep comes about. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. It was a very cozy read, very low stakes, like I said, but very enjoyable. The characters were really cute and enjoyable to read about, and all the magical little elements that are trickled through it. I enjoy that stuff. Like, you don't have to explain your full magic system to me. I don't need to know the ins and outs of everything, but yeah, I enjoyed that. So I gave that one 4 stars. The last 2 books are part of like a series. I don't know how many books are in the series. I think there's 2 or 3. So far I found 2 and I've read both of them, but I'll just start with book 9 first. So book 9 is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, by Jessie Q Sutanto, and this book was a 5-star read. So this is very much like a murder mystery, but make it cozy. It involves a Chinese grandma, so make it cozy. So Vera Wong is a little bit lonely. She owns a tea shop, like a Chinese tea shop, and it's not very popular. Not really anyone really comes. There's one like loyal customer that comes called Alex, but other than that, nobody really comes to the shop. So one morning she comes down. She has like a very strict routine. She follows like a strict routine of like waking up at a certain time, getting down to the shop. She comes down to the shop because she lives in the flat above the shop. She comes down to the shop and she finds a dead body in her shop. What do we do now? So any normal person would call the police. However, Vera draws around the outline of the body, then calls the police, and wants to discover who the murderer is all by herself, even though the police has told her multiple times not to get involved. So what ensues there is her just kind of going through like twists and turns of trying to figure out who the murderer is. She meets a bunch of people who were involved with this dead person's life. So he's called Marshall. So she meets a bunch of people who he's involved with or he knew and things like that. And each and every one of them is like the suspect until she can narrow them down that they're not the suspect anymore. The biggest thing with this book was it was just very much a found family type of vibe again. Very cozy, very much like Vera didn't have a lot of family, so it's nice that she was able to create all this new family and friends that she had and friendships and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, I just really loved her character. I think she's nosy once again, kind of like Eileen from The Switch, but like in the cute grandma way, not like in an annoying way. And she just wants the best for everyone, and she wants to like feed everyone and take care of them, and all the food she cooked, my gosh, like everything sounded really delicious. So I really enjoyed that book. And then I followed it up with book 10, which is the final book of this month, which was the second book in this series, which is called Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. So yeah, this book was a follow-up, like I said, and this one I gave 5 stars. And she is still looking for trouble, looking for sleuthing opportunities. So now she meets someone called Millie. She meets a young girl called Millie, and Millie's looking for her friend Thomas, who's gone missing. And once again, we get into this whole like spiel of her going down this like different routes of trying to figure out what's happened to Thomas. Has he died? Has he, like, because the police kind of rule it as like a suicide, but she's like, no, he's been murdered. She meets a bunch of eccentric people who were involved with Thomas's life, and they knew him in some shape or form. The storyline's a bit deeper than the first one. I think I definitely enjoyed this one more than the first one, but I still give both books 5 stars. So this one had like a bit of a stronger storyline. Like I said, it's a bit more fleshed out. I think like Vera as a character is a bit more fleshed out too. She has a very like refreshing approach to life. That's what I wrote down in my review. I wrote down that she's a very refreshing character, and I really enjoy her approach to life. There's like themes of social media in here, like what social media can do to people, and like how much it can make you like how fake social media can be and things like that, and how it can be the detriment to people's mental health and things like that. And there's storylines of like trafficking and stuff, so obviously take that as you will. If that's not going to be good for you to read, do not read that. But the storyline was very gripping, like especially those elements of the storyline, absolutely gripping. I was like sitting at the edge of my seat. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And the ending was absolutely insane. I can't believe she was able to do what she did. I can't tell you what she did because it's a massive spoiler, but like the fact that she was able to do that and she felt really good doing it was just amazing. And once again, she has all these new people that she can invite into her life now, that once again she takes care of, she feeds, she gives them tea, she makes sure that they're doing good in life, and there are people that are involved in her life too, and now like she's not as lonely anymore. And I think that's a key message here, that she's not lonely anymore, and it's really lovely, to be honest. I did have a DNF book, like I mentioned, which I will just briefly tell you about now before I wrap up this video. So the DNF was How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. So this one was on my TBR once again for a little while. I was into these kind of like murder mystery type of books, kind of like psychological killer type of books a little bit, and it's supposed to have dark comedy, not romance, definitely not romance. It's supposed to be like dark but definitely comedic, and I was really excited to read it. And the first couple of chapters wasn't bad. It was a bit slow, but it wasn't bad, and it was giving me the same vibes as How to Kill a Guy in 10 Ways by Eve Kalman. It was giving me these vibes. However, it didn't quite pan out the same way as that book, and I got around 5 or 6 chapters in, and I just wasn't enjoying it. The main character, whose name was Grace, and she really wasn't enjoyable, and maybe that's how she's written to be. She's not supposed to be enjoyable, like likable and things like that, but I was struggling with like her thought process, and like, so obviously we're all in her head. It was in first person, of course. There really wasn't anything that I found funny. There's supposed to be, like I said, this dark comedy bits to it, but they didn't really hit the way I think they were supposed to. And I don't know if it's just me, is my humor broken? I don't know, but I really didn't enjoy it, so I just DNR'd it because I do not have time to put myself through a book that's not enjoyable. There's very few times that I do that, mainly when I'm curious and I want to see how a book ends, even if I'm not enjoying it. But I don't often hate read a book. Like if I'm not enjoying it, I'll stop reading it and just DNR it. DNF it. What's a DNR? That's a do not resuscitate order that they do in hospitals. I've been watching too many medical shows, clearly, and my sister's a nurse. DNF, sorry, DNF, do not finish. So I just DNF it, to be honest, 'cause I'm just like, I'm not gonna waste my time on it. So that was my DNF book, and those were my 10 books of October. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know any exciting books you might have read in October, anything that you would recommend that based on my reading you think I might enjoy. Let me know in the comments, because I am always building my TBR. when I shouldn't be, because I have a really big TBR. I don't have time to read all the books, but I'm always building it. And I'm really excited for my November reads. I've already obviously started November. I'm already currently reading a couple of books. I've read a couple already and they're really great. I haven't really created like a November hopeful or a November TBR. I try and do that some months, but I haven't really done that this month. But if you're interested in knowing like some of the books I might be reading this month, let me know, and obviously I'll do another November wrap up next month. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please hit subscribe and the like button, and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I post new videos. I'm going back to posting once a week hopefully, so you should get one video from me per week in the future. Okay, cool. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and yeah, have a good evening. Bye, lovelies. Bye bye.